Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in February 2026. My name is Nick, and I'm one of the lead tutors for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to direct your attention towards a study plan because, over the course of the previous 2 weeks, so many of you direct message me or you called me as well via WhatsApp and was asking for a study plan, asking whether you can complete your studies by February. And given the fact that you have 6 weeks at your disposal, you have enough and more time. So that is why I wanted to share this study plan with you. I did share a study plan about 3 weeks back, but this is a 6-week study plan, an amended one, which I'm sharing with you so that you know what you are supposed to achieve in the upcoming weeks when it comes to completing all your preparations. And also, I want to direct your attention towards the exam blueprint, thereby highlighting what the examiner tells us. And it's essential that you listen to the examiner because then you can gain an understanding of how you should conduct your preparations before the examination and how you should deal with the nitty-gritties on the day of the exam. And also, it's extremely important that you develop a high level of confidence, and there are certain things, elements which you need to cover to build your confidence in the upcoming 6 weeks leading up to your examination. Because as per the CIMA examiner, if you are confident before the exam, you will be confident on the day of the exam. So it's essential that you maintain a high level of positivity when conducting preparations. You need to take steps to improve your skill set. And when you know that your skill set has improved, when you can see for yourselves that your skills had improved, then this leads to positive thoughts, leads to a positive attitude. And this is going to be extremely crucial to achieve success at your upcoming examination. And finally, I'm going to teach you stress management techniques. So in the previous webinar, which was conducted 2 weeks back, as you know, we took a 2-week study break given the festivities. So 2 weeks back, I taught you answering and time management techniques in our third webinar. So in this webinar, in today's webinar, I'm going to teach you stress management techniques as well, because at the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application skills. The examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stressful situations. That is why you are supposed to operate in a time-pressured environment at your real exam. So all these things will be covered in today's webinar. And before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming workshops we have scheduled for you. So we are kickstarting the workshop series next Saturday, and it's happening at 17 GMT or 5 p.m. UK, in which I'm going to take you through the F2 syllabus. After doing so, I'm going to conduct a masterclass, thereby explaining how to tackle a question to do with your F2 syllabus. So I'm going to take you through a question and its answer, which appears within mock exam 1, which is focused on your F2 syllabus, so that you'd gain an understanding of how you should plan your answers or structure your answers or approach the selected syllabus area. And I will also be conducting a Q&A within the same workshop as usual. And similarly, in the upcoming 2 workshops, which are focused on your P2 and E2 syllabi, I will be taking you through the relevant syllabus area and also conducting a masterclass. And in the final workshop, which happens just 2 or 3 days before your examination, I'm going to share last-minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you are positive before the exam, you will be positive on the day of the exam. And this positivity will ensure that you avoid undue levels of stress and perform extremely well at your real examination. So make use of these free resources on offer. Join each of these workshops to benefit from the technical elements which we are going to teach you in the upcoming weeks. So having said that, I'm directing your attention towards a 6-week study plan. So as you can see, I've divided it into 6 weeks. When you consider your exam week, when you consider the exam week on top of it, or in addition to it, you have 5 full weeks at your disposal, which is enough and more time for you to conduct your preparations. Because if you look at students who attempted the MCS exams in November, the case study was released just 6 weeks before the exam dates. So usually, if you are facing a new case study, or if you are conducting preparations focused on a new case study which is released, then from the date of the release up until your examination, there is just 6 weeks. So you have a similar time frame this time. So you need not worry about passing in February, because if you are disciplined enough and if you stick to the study plan, you can cover all your preparations without any hiccups, which will ensure that you score more than 90 at your real examination. So you, as you know, your pass mark is just 80, but if you stick to the study plan, you are in a position to achieve a score which is more than 90 easily. However, it comes down to your discipline. So if you are disciplined enough to dedicate the expected time for studies on a weekly basis, and if you can start right now, then you can definitely achieve your goal of passing this examination, because it's crucial to pass this time. Because as you know, as I've mentioned in the previous webinars, from May 2026 onwards, there are some add-ons coming into your F2 syllabus. And with these add-ons, your preparatory work is going to increase. So it's better to finish off MCS as soon as possible in February, so that you can really focus on SCS in your upcoming sitting. It could be May or August. So try to avoid the new additions to the syllabus by attempting the exam in February for sure. So let's try to figure out what you're supposed to do on a weekly basis. So in the first week, before you kickstart your mock attempts, you need to gain a good understanding of what appears within the pre-seen document, because as a finance manager at Ressett, you need to have a good understanding of what happens within your chosen industry and what happens within your chosen company. So with that in mind, don't waste time to decrypt pre-seen information on your own or evaluate the pre-seen on your own. We have already developed 4 pre-seen analysis videos. Simply watch these 4 videos, then you will gain a good understanding of what appears within your entire pre-seen. So this is just going to take 3 hours of your time. Don't waste time to evaluate the pre-seen on your own. Instead, simply rely on the pre-seen analysis videos which we have developed at TCS. And once you are thorough with pre-seen info, then before you kickstart mock attempts, you need to learn answering and time management techniques. So if you attended the 3rd webinar, then you already know how to structure your answers as well as how to manage your time effectively. If you missed it, please go watch the recorded version of the 3rd webinar, which can be accessed via YouTube, our YouTube handle, as well as via our student dashboard. In a little while, I'm going to show you how you can access this video via our student dashboard. So after watching this recorded version of the 3rd webinar, you will gain an in-depth understanding of how you should structure your answers, how you should plan your answers, and at the same time, how you should manage your time. So after learning these elements, you have to kickstart your mock attempts. So attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform. So as you know, at TCS, we have developed the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system on which you are supposed to attempt your real exam. So you have the opportunity of practicing your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under real conditions when you attempt each mock exam via our exam platform. So even if you do not invest on our paid courses, under the free course, you have access to the exam platform on which you can attempt mock number 1 in its entirety, which is the best way to test and see how you fare under exam conditions. It's essential that you at least attempt one single mock exam before the examination under exam conditions, because then you will realize that you are running out of time. You will realize that you are struggling with answer structuring. You will realize that towards the last 2 sections, you'd encounter extreme levels of stress, and extreme levels of stress leads to brain freeze. I want you to experience all these issues anxieties and stresses when attempting mocks rather than facing them for the first time at your real examination. So that is why it's crucial to attempt mock number 1 via the exam platform with the prime objective of practicing your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under exam conditions. After doing so, go through the answer plans which we have shared concerning mock number 1. Then you will understand how you should have structured your answers, how you should have approached each question, and what you should have included in your answers and whatnot. So after learning these things by going through the answer plans, then redevelop answer plans on your own, thereby engaging in revision, because just because you go through the answer plans, you are not going to learn anything. You have to test and see whether you have gained something by going through these answer plans. So that is why it's essential that you spend some time to revise, and the best type of revision should be to redevelop answer plans. All right, so once you're done with it, within the first week, you have mastered pre-seen information, you have learned answering and time management techniques, and when attempting mock number 1, you have practiced these techniques, and at the same time, you have conducted revision by redeveloping answer plans. And once you have mastered mock number 1, in week number 2, you have to focus your attention towards mastering 2 mock exams, namely mocks 2 and 3. So in week number 2, stick to a similar approach. Attempt mock number 2 via the exam platform. The objective is to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under exam conditions. And then from mock 2 onwards, you have access to master classes. So you might be wondering as to why you don't have access to master classes concerning mock number 1. In each of the workshops as well as the webinars, we are conducting master classes which are focused on mock number 1. So since we are already covering these elements, we have not developed separate master classes for mock number 1, but from mock number 2 onwards, you have access to master classes. And the objective of developing these master classes is to teach you theory and at the same time teach you how to deal with application, because if you develop highly theoretical answers, you are never going to pass this examination, because the examiner tries to replicate a real-life corporate environment via this exam. And when this is the case, you need to think in a practical manner when you are developing answers. If you are to develop the best type of answers, you should utilize the knowledge which we have gained via E2, F2, and P2. So that's why application is really tested at this exam. So if you're coming through OCS, you know what I'm talking about. The OCS exam is highly technical. There's no decision making involved. It's simply a matter of explaining theoretical concepts and whatnot. However, at this stage, you need to know all syllabus areas, and at the same time, you should possess the ability to apply this knowledge in a practical manner, considering what's highlighted within each unseen. So that is why we have developed the master classes, especially focused on those who are coming through the exemption routes such as FLP, because you do have some resources in the FLP platform, which includes certain video material, as well as you can term them as tutorials. And on top of that, you have certain documents which are supposed to read to learn theory. Yes, you can learn theory by watching these videos and reading these articles. However, students struggle with application, because you are learning theory in isolation, and then you have to figure out on your own how to deal with application, how to apply the knowledge which you have gained via E2, F2, and P2 when developing answers. So that is why the pass rates are extremely low, especially considering those who are coming through exemptions. As you know, the pass rates have continuously been below 50%. Why is this the case? Because the students are clueless of application mostly. And also, if you look at the FLP mock exams, you simply get access to just 2 or 3 mocks. And via 2 or 3 mock exams, you cannot cover the entire syllabus. So before conducting your preparations, or before walking into your exam rather, you have to be conversant about how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam. So if you attempt just 3 mock exams, you are half prepared. And if you see some question which you have never seen in your life at your examination, you are going to struggle. And when you struggle, you are definitely going to panic. When you panic, you are going to fail the examination, because when you panic, you run out of time. If you run out of time, you are going to fail this examination. So that's why it's essential that you watch these master classes if you want to learn theory and application via one single video. And these master classes are totally focused on the mocks which we have developed. So in mock number 2, in each subtask, there is a certain conceptual element covered. And when you watch the master classes, you will learn the conceptual element. And at the same time, you will learn application, because we are explaining the conceptual element focused on the mock exam or the subtask which appears within a certain mock exam. So you can figure out application on your own easily when you watch these master classes. So the objective of watching these master classes should be to learn the logic behind each answer, and at the same time learn the theoretical concept covered within each subtask, also to figure out application within the same video. So once you have learned theory knowledge, or once you have gained theory knowledge and application, then your preparations should not stop there. You need to redevelop answer plans on your own, because as I mentioned earlier, it's essential that you spend some time to revise. You have to, after watching the master classes, when you redevelop answer plans, you will figure out whether you have cemented the knowledge properly or not, whether you will realize whether you have the capability of replicating TCS's answer plans. If not, you have to once more develop the answer plan on your own until you get it right. That is the only way to improve your knowledge, improve your skill set, and also ensure that you have the capability of implementing answer plans in the most successful manner at your examination. So you have to make sure to spend enough time to revise. And once you have redeveloped your answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's to figure out whether there are still shortcomings. So you have to keep developing answer plans over and over until you are satisfied about the fact that your answer plans closely mirror TCS's. So that's how you should master each mock exam. And similarly, within week number 2, you should direct your attention towards attempting mock number 3. So it's the same process. Attempt mock number 3 under exam conditions to practice answering time management and stress management techniques, and then to learn theory and application, watch the master classes focused on mock number 3. Once you have watched these master classes, test whether you have learned something via these master classes by redeveloping answer plans. Once you have redeveloped answer plans, compare your fresh answer plans to TCS's to understand what your shortcomings are. So this is the same process which you need to adhere to in the upcoming weeks. So the second week is going to be the most hectic one, given the fact that you have to attempt 2 mock exams within the second week. However, from week 3 onwards, it's simply a matter of mastering 1 mock exam per week by sticking to the 3-step process which I explained a while back. And in week number 5, you need to put in some additional effort, given the fact that although we have promised that you have access to 6 mock exams, we have also developed a mini mock which consists of 2 sections, which can be termed as our 7th mock exam as well. So you need not actually attempt it and do your revision and whatnot. Instead, we have developed it with the intention of covering minor elements which can be tested at the exam, which has been tested about 10 years back. So with the intention of ensuring that everything is covered, we have developed this mini mock exam. So simply read through the questions and the answer plan of mini mock exam, which is going to just take 3 hours of your time in the 5th week. So once you're done with all these things in the exam week, if you really want, you can redevelop answer plans once more, or you can simply refer to the answer plans which you have access to concerning mocks 1 to 7. So just reading through them would help. If you practice the elements which we have highlighted within the first 5 weeks of your study plan. So if you really take time to master each mock exam on a weekly basis as per this plan, in the exam week, you can relax. And it's essential to relax a day or 2 before your examination, because as per the CIMA examiner, if you are calm and composed before the exam, you will be calm and composed on the day of the exam. If you are calm, then you will succeed at your examination. So if you look at hordes of students out there, the majority, 90% of the students are stressed in the final week. If you have completed a CIMA case study, it could be OCS, or you would have tried to pass MCS previously, then you know what I'm talking about. Almost all the students are extremely stressed a day or two before the exam, or the final week, or the exam week. Why is this the case? Because you didn't stick to a study plan, and you started preparations just 2 or 3 weeks before the exam. So when this is the case, when you start 2 or 3 weeks before the exam, yes, you have enough time to attempt all 6 mock exams, but you do not have time to watch the master classes and revise. And when you do not take time to revise, you don't know whether you are capable of structuring answers in the way in which you are supposed to. And when this is the case, you are going to struggle at your exam. So after learning something, you have to practice and see whether you are capable of replicating what you have learned when conducting revision. So you have to test yourself continuously on a weekly basis. If not, you will be testing yourself for the first time, testing your capabilities for the first time on the day of the exam. And this is when you'd encounter certain hiccups. And when you encounter hiccups, you will be stressed. When you are stressed, you will run out of time. When you run out of time, you will experience brain freeze, and then you will end up failing this exam. So it's essential that you relax in the exam week. And if you have to relax during the exam week, you have to stick to the study plan. So start right now. Do not waste time. If you want to sit for the exams happening in February, it's essential that you start right now. And if not, if you wait until the last moment, yes, you will have enough time to attempt all mock exams, but you won't have time to revise. Without revising, you cannot improve your skill set. Without improving your skill set, you cannot pass this exam. And stop all work a day or two prior to the examination, because you are supposed to play the role of a finance manager who is supposed to play a decision maker's role. So as a decision maker within this organization, you have to be open-minded to come up with the best type of decisions. You have to be rational. So if you have to be rational, you have to be positive on the day of the exam. You have to have a positive mindset. So that's why I want you guys to take a day or two off before your examination. You might think that I'm asking you guys to waste time, which is not the case, because if you take a break 2 days before your exam, you are letting your mind rest, and this rest will ensure that you function extremely well on the day of the exam. Because as I mentioned throughout this webinar series, the management case study as well as any CIMA case study, this is when you consider these case studies, these are professional qualifications. So in professional qualifications, your memory is not tested. Instead, your decision-making capabilities, your practical thinking is tested. So there's absolutely no point of trying to memorize anything. That is why I want you to stick to the study plan, because when you do so, you are not trying to memorize. Instead, your objective is to improve your skill set significantly. And when you take a break a day or two before your examination, you are letting your mind rest. And this will ensure that you are well poised to function properly on the day of the exam. So when all the other students are stressed, when they are trying to do everything under the sun, when they are trying to attempt mock exams, when they are panicking, you are resting, and this will ensure that you will perform really well on the day of the exam. So I hope you will stick to the study plan. After this webinar, I'm going to share the study plan with you via the WhatsApp group. And as I mentioned earlier, don't wait to start preparations. Start right now, because you have 6 weeks. If you utilize these 6 weeks at the utmost levels of efficiency, then you will definitely pass this examination comfortably. And when attempting each mock exam, or when mastering each mock exam, you are supposed to stick to this 3-step process. So as I mentioned earlier, the first step is to practice. What are you supposed to practice? Your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Once you have practiced these 3 techniques under exam conditions when attempting each mock exam, then you have to dedicate time to learn. You can easily learn by watching the master classes. This is where you will understand how to structure your answers. You will learn the theoretical concepts covered within each subtask. and how you should deal with application. Once you have learned theory and application, revise. Check for yourself whether you have gained something via the master classes by redeveloping answer plans. Once you have redeveloped your answer plans, compare them to TCSs to further refine your understanding. So focused on each mock exam, if you stick to this three-step process, you can see that you are focusing on a single mock exam thrice before walking into the exam. So you are not just attempting 6 mock exams, you are going through each mock exam, basing your revision based on the same mock exam 3 times over. So you just imagine what you can achieve when you take steps to go through the same mock exam thrice. And on top of that, when you take steps to attempt all 6 mock exams, which are intended to cover the entire syllabus. So if you had referred to past exam variants or past papers, you would have seen that the examiner develops 6 different variants or 6 different papers focused on each pre-scene. Why is this the case? The examiner intends to cover the entire syllabus via these papers. So that is why the examiner is forced to develop 6 papers, because if the examiner was supposed to develop just 3 papers, the examiner is not in a position to cover the entire syllabus. So you are not just taking steps to conduct preparations covering the entire syllabus when attempting mocks. You are also making sure to go through each mock exam thrice before walking into the exam. And when you do this, you can easily achieve 90 plus marks at your exam. So that is why it's essential that you stick to the study plan. Start right now. Don't waste time. If you are planning to sit in February, start right now. If so, you will be relaxing during the exam week. And this will ensure that you are taking steps to improve your skill set, practice your skill set, and at the same time, you are taking steps to relax before the examination. And when you are well relaxed, when you have improved your knowledge levels and skill set, definitely you are going to score more than 90 at your real exam. All right. So having said that, let's look at what the examiner has to tell us. I'm going to direct your attention towards snippets which I've taken from the exam blueprint. So the examiner gives us some tips about how you can score good marks. So if you are to develop good answers, you should develop answers which are relevant to the requirement. So it's essential that you understand each requirement clearly before you develop the answer plan or before you structure or plan out your answer, because most students end up failing because they misunderstand the requirement. So if you had gone through mock papers or if you have attempted MCS previously, you know what I'm talking about. Certain subtasks carry extremely long requirements. When this is the case, especially when you are operating in a time-pressured environment, when you are stressed out, you would read through a couple of sentences or the entire requirement, and you will come to a wrong conclusion. And when this is the case, when you develop an answer, when you misunderstand the requirement, and based on these misunderstandings, when you develop an answer, you end up losing a lot of marks. So it's essential, if you want to score good, it's essential that you develop answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. So that is why, whilst teaching you answering technique last week or in the last webinar rather, I highlighted the fact that you are supposed to reiterate each requirement in your own words in a concise manner before you develop the answer plan. So before structuring your answer, you are supposed to simplify each requirement in your own words. So if you do so, you are taking steps to ensure that you are developing an answer which is totally relevant to the requirement, aligned with the requirement. When this is the case, you are well poised to gain extremely good marks at your exam. So first things first, in each section, after reading through the scenario, in each section, before you develop the answer plan or before you structure the answer, you are supposed to simplify the requirement in your own words, with the prime objective of gaining clarity or gaining a good understanding of what you are expected to cover in your answer. And also, you need to show to the marker that you possess the necessary level of technical knowledge as well as application skills when developing your answers. So that is why I said that it's essential that you are conversant with all syllabus areas which are covered in your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. When conducting preparations, you should not leave out any syllabus area because anything can be tested at the exam. So that is why I said that we have developed a mini mock exam as and we have included it as the seventh mock. And I said that we have included certain minor elements which were tested years back. So we are taking steps to ensure that everything is covered, to make sure that you are not testing your luck at your real examination. So when conducting preparations, if you are planning to attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams, then you cannot expect to pass this exam comfortably, especially if you are coming through the exemption route, because the FLP resources do not cover all syllabus areas. I have to be honest with you. The FLP resources do not cover all syllabus areas. And on top of that, you just have access to 2 or 3 mock exams. When you go through these mocks, you will feel satisfied about the fact that you have learned everything. You might think that you are well prepared, but on the day of the exam, you are going to be disappointed. So in order to avoid all disappointments, it's essential that you listen to the CIMA examiner, and the CIMA examiner wants you to be thorough with all syllabus areas. And at the same time, just because you know your theory, if you develop highly theoretical answers, you are not going to pass this exam. Instead, you have to consider what's highlighted within each unseen when developing your answers. That is why application skills are tested at this stage, because you are supposed to play the role of a decision maker as the finance manager of Ressett. So you need to show to the marker that you have learned your E2, F2, and P2 elements, and at the same time, you know how to apply these conceptual elements when developing your answers. So that is exactly why we are sharing answer plans with you, because this is what a typical answer plan looks like. So let me clear all these drawings. Okay, so as you can see, we are sharing answer plans concerning each mock exam. And when you go through these answer plans, you can easily figure out the logic behind each answer, easily figure out the theoretical concepts which are included in the answer and how to include these theoretical concepts. Therefore, you are in a position to easily figure out application as well. So, and when conducting revision, you are supposed to try and replicate these answer plans on your own. I said that you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. So the prime objective of doing this is to gain a sound understanding about technical elements, as well as taking steps to improve your application skills, because definitely you need to improve these elements, improve these skill sets if you want to score extremely well at your real exam. And when structuring your answers, you are supposed to develop well-structured answers. Again, this is where the answer plans come into play. So if you are struggling with how to structure the answers, if you are clueless of, how to develop your answers and whatnot, simply by referring to these answer plans, you can gain a good understanding of what you should include within each and every answer. So rather than going through pages and pages of suggested answers and trying to figure out how to structure your answer, when you have these answer summaries at your disposal, your life becomes easy. Then you can clearly understand how you should approach each syllabus area, and concerning each syllabus area, how you should structure your answer, how to deal with application. All these things can be understood easily when you have access to these answer plans. And at the exam, you are supposed to finalize your answer in paragraphs. So although you are supposed to spend time to plan out your answer in this manner, in bullet points, you are supposed to keep it short. However, your final answer should look something like this. So your final answer should be in paragraph form. So in the third webinar, I explained all these things in depth as to how you should develop answer plans and how you should expand your answer plans. So in a nutshell, let's assume that you intended to include 10 valid points within an answer plan concerning a certain subtask. Then in your final answer, there should be 10 different paragraphs. Don't write the entire answer within one single paragraph, because if so, you are not listening to the CIMA examiner and you are not assisting the marker who is going to mark your paper. So if you missed the third webinar, please go watch it to learn all these technicalities. Then you will realize what I'm talking about and how important it is to listen to the CIMA examiner. And as a finance manager, you are supposed to be involved with decision making. So whenever you are recommending something, back it up with appropriate justifications. You are not supposed to say, okay, I'm recommending this. Instead, you have to justify your position. therefore saying that I'm recommending something because of these factors. Because as I mentioned earlier, the examiner tries to replicate a real life corporate environment. So think that you're actually reporting to your real boss. When this is the case, if your superior, if you recommend something and if your superior needs additional information, he or she can email you back and seek your opinion, further opinions. However, at the exam, the invigilator can't, or the marker can't do this. So because of that, you end up losing a lot of marks. So come up with clear answers. So whenever you are recommending something, back it up with appropriate arguments or justifications. If not, even if your recommendation is accurate, you are not going to get any marks. So when you have access to these answer plans, you will understand how to recommend or how to come up with recommendations which are well justified. So in a nutshell, if you want to score good marks, first things first, before you develop the answer, you are supposed to gain a clear understanding of each requirement. So with this in mind, you are supposed to simplify each requirement in your own words in a concise manner before you develop the answer plan. And you need to show to the marker that you have learned your E2, F2, P2 elements, and at the same time, you know how to apply these conceptual elements when developing answers. This is where the answer plans and your revision based on the answer plans come into play. And you are supposed to structure your answers properly, which can be learned easily by referring to the answer plans once more. And you are supposed to finalize your answers in paragraphs. So by referring to the suggested answers, you will gain an understanding of how you are supposed to do this. And when you are supposed to recommend something, you are supposed to back it up with appropriate justifications. You will learn how to develop justified recommendations, again by going through our answer plans. So it's essential that you go through the answer plans and take steps to redevelop answer plans with the intention of ensuring that you improve your skill set to score extremely good marks at your real exam. And also, the examiner wants us to achieve certain things before the examination. So let's try to figure out what the examiner tells us. Before the exam, you are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So I highlighted this previously as well. So if you are walking into the exam with knowledge gaps, then you are testing your luck. You won't be sure of passing this examination. So if you look at the entire syllabus, the syllabus is vast. I'm going to take you through this document which we have developed highlighting what syllabus areas can be tested, and all syllabus areas are covered within the mocks which we have developed. So as you can see, your knowledge concerning P2, F2, and E2 will be tested at this exam. So everything to do with capital investment decision making and managing and controlling performance, managing costs and how to create value, as well as risk management and implementing controls, everything which falls under P2, all these elements are tested. And at the same time, concerning your F2 syllabus, how to finance capital projects, how to deal with group accounts, integrated reporting, and how to analyze financial statements, or your knowledge concerning ratios, as well as various different IASs and IFRSs are tested at the exam. Any of these elements can be tested at your exam. And also in terms of E2, your knowledge concerning how to manage performance, considering business models, project management, and how to manage teams or people will be tested. And so all these elements can be tested at the exam. That's why you have to be conversant with each of these syllabus areas. We have made sure to cover all these elements within the mock exams. And when you conduct preparations focused on the same mock exams, you are not only taking steps to learn each conceptual element, you are also taking steps to figure out application, because everything is covered. Theory and application is covered within the master classes. Also, you can easily gain an understanding of theory and application by referring to the answer plans, and then you are supposed to revise by redeveloping the same type of answer plans. When you are doing all these things, you are taking steps not just to learn theories and application, you are taking steps to revise your theory knowledge and application skills. So that's what the examiner tells us. So you are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So if you are planning to pass this exam by attempting just 2 or 3 mocks, well, you are testing your luck. So instead, it's better to be fully prepared before you walk into the exam, especially if you are coming through an exemption route. And before the exam, you have to take steps to improve your application skills. So you will, as I mentioned earlier, you will learn application via the master classes. And when you are redeveloping answer plans, you are supposed to take steps to improve your application skills, with the intention of mastering each mock exam. And when it comes to mock attempts, when you are practicing tasks, you are supposed to type or write full answers. So what are full answers? Full answers comprise of an entire mock exam, which is attempted under exam conditions within 3 hours. So at your examination, you have to attempt the entire paper without breaks between sections. However, when it comes to conducting preparations, I've dealt with students who would say that, okay, I cannot sit in one place across 3 hours at a stretch. Therefore, I'm going to attempt the first section today, the second section tomorrow, and the third section day after tomorrow, and whatnot. Whereas at your exam, you cannot take breaks between sections. Once you're done with section number 1, you are automatically directed to section number 2. So across 3 hours, you have to attempt 4 sections, one after the other. So when conducting your preparations, you need to replicate a similar methodology, because if not, you will not encounter fatigue, which you'd experience, especially towards the last 2 sections. So however much knowledgeable you are, if you are fatigued, if it leads to stress, and when you are stressed out, nothing comes to your head, even if you want to develop an answer. So that's why it's essential that you get accustomed to real exam conditions. That's why we have developed the exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson system, which gives you the opportunity to sit in one place across 3 hours and keep repeating answering time management and stress management techniques 4 times within 3 hours. And this is going to be extremely tough. If you watched our third webinar, I explained how you're supposed to manage your time. In a nutshell, you are supposed to dedicate 5 minutes of your time in each section to read through the scenario. And then you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes to plan your answer. Although I'm asking you to dedicate 20 minutes to plan your answers, at the exam, if you try to implement it for the first time, you are definitely going to take 35 to 40 minutes. So the time allocation in each section is 45 minutes. When you take 40 minutes to develop the answer plan, you are definitely going to run out of time. That is why you have to practice these techniques. That's why it's essential that whenever you are attempting a mock exam, you should practice it under exam conditions, because I'm not the only one who is asking you to do this. It is the CIMA examiner who wants you to type or write full answers. So don't break down sections and, when attempting mock exams, take breaks between sections. Instead, just like in your real exam, sit in one place across 3 hours and attempt the exam under exam conditions. Then you will realize what your shortcomings are. You will realize that you are stressed out. You will realize that you are running out of time. You will realize that you are struggling to structure your answers. I want you to encounter all these issues before the exam, because when you encounter them right now, you can take steps to overcome them by practice. But if you try to implement these techniques, even after learning them, if you try to implement these techniques for the first time at your exam, definitely you are going to struggle. So I don't want you guys to struggle. I want you guys to pass. So it's better to listen to the CIMA examiner and fall in line with the guidance this individual is providing you. So that's what you're supposed to do before the exam. And on the day of the exam or during the exam, you are supposed to plan your answers. So that is why your answering technique, that's why it's essential to practice the answering technique. So you need to get your grips with how to structure your answers properly or how to develop answer plans. I've taught these things in depth in the third webinar. So if you missed it, please go watch the recorded version, because the examiner wants you to plan your answers during the exam before you finalize each answer. So if you do not practice this technique, you are definitely going to run out of time, because within 45 minutes, as I mentioned earlier, you are supposed to read, plan, as well as type or expand your answer in paragraph form. So if you do not practice these 3 techniques under exam conditions and try to implement it at your exam, you are definitely going to run out of time. So whenever attempting your mocks, stick to this technique, plan your answers, because when you are taking steps to plan your answers, you are focusing on quality. You are trying to make sure that you are structuring your answer properly. You are structuring an answer which is totally aligned with the requirement. And also you are making sure to bring in conceptual elements as and when necessary. And at the same time, you are trying to fine tune your application. So when you look at all these elements, you are focusing on ensuring that you are developing a high quality answer. And the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So you are not going to get marks based on the length of your answer. Instead, you are going to get marks based on the quality of the points which you have highlighted in your answer. That is why you need to practice answering technique under exam conditions, and at the same time, when conducting revision, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. And when you are redeveloping answer plans, one of the objectives is to refine the quality of your answers or the way in which you plan out your answers. So it's a tough situation. You have to practice, but if you stick to our study plan and if you stick to this 3-step process, you are practicing your answering time management and stress management techniques under exam conditions. You are taking steps to learn by going through the master classes or watching the master classes. And after you have learned your theory and application, you are revising by redeveloping answer plans. And when doing all these things, you are trying to refine your skill set, refine your knowledge, refine your application skills, and you are supposed to practice the same methodology at your real examination. If so, you are going to get marks based on quality. And by doing all these things, you are trying to ensure that you are developing high quality answers which are totally aligned with each requirement. So I've seen tutors out there saying that in order to gain an X amount of marks, you need to include an X amount of words, which is never going to be the case. The CIMA examiner is clear. Your answers are marked on their merit, not based on the length or the word count of your answer. All right, so that's what the examiner tells us. I hope you will listen to the CIMA examiner. And having said that, before I teach you stress management techniques, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page. If you're yet to create a free user account, click on this button and create one. Once you have created it, you would gain access to our student dashboard. And via the student dashboard, you would gain access to mock number 1 and its suggested answer as well as the answer plan free of charge. And also via the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock number 1 under exam conditions via the exam platform in its entirety. So as I mentioned earlier, we have replicated the Pearson VUE system. So you have the opportunity of practicing your answering time management and stress management techniques when attempting mock number 1 under real exam conditions. And also you will gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops we conduct via the free course. So create a free account by clicking on this button. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, before you do so, check our sample material, which can be accessed by clicking on this button. And if you're yet to join our MCS discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this group, we will keep you guys informed of the weekly webinars and workshops, the commencement dates and times. And also, if you have any questions, you can raise these concerns. Myself and Jared are always there to help you guys out. And via this group, we will be sharing hordes of free resources as well. And talking about what we offer 2 packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is intended for those who have completed their OTQs, E2, F2, and P2 OTQs. So since you have already learned theory, it's simply a matter of improving application when it comes to preparing for this exam. So since you are conversant with theory, if you take steps to revise on your own, you can easily handle this affair. So under the essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all weekly webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. Although this says 6 mocks, you actually have access to 6.5 mocks, including the 7th mini mock. And we have made sure to cover all syllabus areas when developing these 6 mock exams to ensure that you are walking into the exam fully prepared. And you'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, the annotated pre-scene, industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what these resources look like. So this is the annotated pre-scene. So as you can see, we have come up with tutor annotations with the prime objective of summarizing the information which appears within the pre-scene. Also, we have indicated possible exam scenarios which can be tested, and aligned with these possible exam scenarios, we have highlighted the examinable syllabus areas as well. And when developing our mock exams, we have made sure to cover all these syllabus areas as well as possible exam scenarios. And talking about the industry analysis slides, these slides are divided into four main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry. In the second part, we have explained about trends impacting this industry. And in the third part, we have highlighted about challenges and opportunities. So based on these information, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And towards the very end, concerning a real life company, we have explained how a real life company operates within this chosen industry. And similarly, we have evaluated the financial statements. So we have evaluated the statement of profit and loss, the statement of financial position, as well as we have conducted a ratio analysis, thereby comparing the performance of your chosen company against its closest competitor. And we have made sure to keep things simple so that you can easily understand the financial standing of your chosen company against fix up its closest competitor. All right, so these are the resources on offer under the essential course. And also you'd gain access to the top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested. The case study familiarization kit will give you a good overview of how this exam works, the technicalities behind this exam, and you'd also gain access to a tutor managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you have forgotten a certain syllabus area, don't worry, don't waste time to go through bulky study texts, your old notes and whatnot. Simply refer to the OTQ revision cards. In a jiffy, you are in a position to brush up your knowledge concerning each syllabus area. So the essential course is priced at £249. And talking about the premium course, this is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes, such as FLP and Master's Gateway, and those who had failed the MCS exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. And with the intention of teaching you all conceptual elements and at the same time teaching you application, we have included some additional resources under premium on top of what appears under the essential course. So under premium, you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform on which you can attempt all mock exams under exam conditions, which is the best way to practice your answering, time management and stress management techniques. You will gain access to answer plans of all mock exams. You saw what our answer plans look like and how beneficial they are. And you'd also gain access to 20 masterclasses, which are focused on mocks 2 to 6. So in each masterclass, as I mentioned earlier, we have explained the logic behind each answer. We have explained the theoretical concept covered within each subtask and also taught application. And also you'd receive tutor feedback on mock number 4. And let me quickly show you the type of feedback on offer at TCS. So as you can see, we have evaluated each and every paragraph, each and every point with the prime objective of highlighting your shortcomings, because without you understanding your shortcomings, you will keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. So when you receive this type of feedback, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what's going wrong and what you need to do to improve your chances of passing. And with the same objective in mind, we have indicated the mark allocations on a subtask by subtask basis towards the very end of your feedback. Also, we have indicated a success rate, which indicates the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So when conducting your revision, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. When doing so, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. So this type of feedback on offer if you opt for the premium course. And there's on-demand tutor feedback as well. After receiving feedback for mock number 4, if you feel that you need further feedback for mocks 5 and 6 or 5 or 6, you can opt for tutor feedback per mock exam at £50 per mock exam. So the price of the premium course is £699, which can be paid in 2 installments of £349 each, or if you opt to pay in full, the price is just £599 because you can save £100. All right, so you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. And I know for a fact that some of you are sticking to our original study plan, which can be accessed via our website itself. So let's try to figure out what you are supposed to achieve within this week. So as per our original study plan. We are in week number 4, and within this week, you are supposed to master mock number 3 by sticking to the same 3-step approach, which I explained at the inception of today's webinar. All right, so having said that, let's try to figure out what you need to do to develop your confidence. So first things first, the first step towards increasing or improving your confidence is to simply stick to the study plan. Because when you stick to the study plan, you are taking steps to master each mock exam by sticking to a 3-step process. And when doing so, as I mentioned earlier, you are taking steps to go through each mock exam thrice before moving on to the next mock examination. So this is the best way to ensure that you improve your skill set over a period of time. And by the time you are in mock number 4, you for yourself will feel that your time management has improved, your answering technique has improved, your theory knowledge has improved, as well as your application. So by sticking to the study plan, you are taking steps not just to attempt mocks, but also to learn theory, application, as well as you are taking steps to revise on your own. So when you do this, you will see an improvement in your knowledge levels, improvement in your skill set. When you feel this, you will feel confident about passing this exam. So the first step towards improving your confidence levels is to stick to the study plan. And it's essential that you stick to a routine, at least in these upcoming 5 weeks leading up to your examination, because preparing for this exam is not easy. On top of your daily routine, daily responsibilities, you have to look after your family, and you have to do your job or run your own business. On top of all these things, now you have to prepare for this MCS exam as well, which is going to be tough. So it's essential that you stick to a routine, because when you do so, you are taking steps to function both physically and mentally in a successful manner. So it's best to stick to a routine in terms of waking up and sleeping. If you're struggling to wake up at a certain time and sleep at a certain time, focus on your daily meal intake. Have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at predetermined times. When this is the case, you will fall asleep at a stipulated time. And when you fall asleep, then you can wake up at a stipulated time without any hiccups. So if you're struggling with your routine, fix your meal intakes, then you will fall asleep. You will sleep well, and this will ensure that you can wake up a bit early. And if so, you can dedicate all this additional time for studies. And also, you have to effectively take steps to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques under exam conditions. Therefore, when practicing mock exams, practice under simulated exam conditions. That's why we have developed the exact replica of the Pearson system, so that you have the opportunity of getting a good understanding of how the exam platform works. And at the same time, you have the opportunity to fine-tune your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Because as I mentioned earlier, as per our answering technique, you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes to plan your answers. I've explained these things in depth in the 3rd webinar. Please go watch the recorded version if you missed it. So you are supposed to plan your answers within 20 minutes. However, when you implement this technique for the first time, you are going to definitely take 35 to 40 minutes. So with practice, by the time you are in mock number 4, you will realize that you have the capability of developing answer plans within just 20 minutes. So that's why it's essential that you practice under exam conditions. And when you know for a fact that your time management has improved, you will feel confident automatically. And with an improvement in time management, you will also see an improvement in your answering technique in an overall sense, the way in which you structure your answers, the way in which you tackle application and the theory. When this is the case, you will feel happy about yourself, given the fact that you have mastered theory, application, as well as exam technique successfully. So this can only be achieved if you practice and if you stick to the study plan, which we have shared with you already. So these are the 3 steps which you need to focus on, with the intention of developing confidence when conducting your preparations. Because as I mentioned earlier, if you are confident before the exam, you are going to be confident during the examination as well. Okay. And having said that, let's try to learn stress management or how you should manage your stresses. So as I mentioned throughout this webinar and in the previous webinars, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment, and a real life corporate environment is stressful. So if you are incapable of managing stresses at office, you are going to lose your job. So at this exam, the examiner is not just testing your theory knowledge and application. The examiner is also testing whether you can manage stressful situations, because in a real life environment, you should be able to do so. So if you are incapable of managing stressful situations, you will run out of time. When you run out of time, there's a tendency for you to come up with half-hearted answers or rushed answers. And as you know, rushed answers are not the best solutions out there. And when this is the case, you won't score good marks at your exam. So that's why it's essential that you learn stress management techniques and practice them whenever you are attempting a mock exam. Because take it from me, when you are attempting your first mock exam, definitely you are going to encounter stress. That is where you need to practice these techniques which I'm teaching you. Just because you learn these techniques, you are not in a position to implement them suddenly at your real exam for the first time. Instead, you need to keep practicing these techniques, because when you implement the stress management techniques, which you are going to learn in a little while, you won't be successful. However, with practice, you are in a position to manage your stress levels effectively on the day of your exam. So before I teach you stress management techniques, let's try to figure out how our human brains work. So at the exam, you are supposed to come up with the best type of answers, best type of evaluations, and best type of recommendations. And if so, if you are to come up with the best type of answers, you have to think in a rational manner. So if you are to think rationally, you have to think through your prefrontal cortex, or the front part of your brain. However, the problem with the prefrontal cortex is you can keep utilizing the prefrontal cortex for something like 40 to 45 minutes. But beyond that point, if you stress your prefrontal cortex too much, your brain will keep asking you to take a break. So at office, you might have experienced this. You can focus on something for 40 to 45 minutes at a stretch, but beyond that point, you will feel some type of stress or fatigue. When this is the case, you can take a break. So if you're feeling stressed or fatigued, you can walk out of your cubicle, you can have a chat with your colleagues, or if you're into smoking, you can smoke a cigarette, or you can have a cup of tea, or some coffee. You can do all these various different things to ensure that you're letting your brain rest for a while. But at the exam, you cannot do so, because at your examination, you are supposed to operate in a time pressured environment, which is not actually helping your prefrontal cortex functionality. And at the same time, you are not supposed to take breaks between sections. So within the first section of your paper, you will be extremely comfortable, because you will be thinking through your prefrontal cortex, and the attention span of or the functionality span of the prefrontal cortex is 40 to 45 minutes. So you are going to be totally normal in your first section. But from section 2 onwards, you will encounter some level of stress, especially towards the final two sections. Fatigue sets in because you are not listening to your brain. Instead, you are pressurizing your brain further. When this is the case, in the last two sections, especially given the fact that you are operating in a time pressured environment, you are going to experience fatigue, and extreme levels of fatigue leads to stress. Extreme levels of stress leads to brain freeze, and brain freeze is a situation where you are trying to think, but nothing comes to your head. And this is when you panic. When you panic, you will further pressurize your brain. So you have to take steps to ensure that in each section, you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex. If not, you are not going to come up with rational answers. If your answers are not rational, if you're not thinking in a rational manner, then you are not coming up with the best type of answers. So the first step towards managing your stress levels is simply to stick to our answering technique. So as per our answering technique, you are supposed to, in each section, you are supposed to dedicate 5 minutes of your time to read through the unseen, and then you are supposed to dedicate 20 minutes to plan your answer. And when conducting these two activities, you are supposed to really focus. You are supposed to think through your prefrontal cortex. But when it comes to the last 20 minutes of each section, you are supposed to type, or you are supposed to expand your answer plan. Since you have already planned out your answer before you type, since you have already thought out what you should include in your answer, since you have already planned out what you should, how your answer should be structured, when it comes to typing your answer, your life becomes easy, because it's simply a matter of connecting the dots or connecting the bullet points which appear within the answer which you have already planned out. So when you are typing towards the last 20 minutes of each section, it's as if you are letting your prefrontal cortex rest. Because as I mentioned earlier, when you are reading and planning, you have to be really focused. But when you know what you should include in your answer, because you have already planned out your answer, you can easily type your answer. When doing so, you are letting your prefrontal cortex relax. So you are not really overburdening your prefrontal cortex by asking it to work for 40 to 45 minutes at a stretch. Instead, you're utilizing your prefrontal cortex at 100% capacity in the first 25 minutes, and in the remaining 20 minutes, or the in the remaining 20 minutes of each section, you are letting your prefrontal cortex rest. And this is going to be extremely beneficial, because then you are taking steps to avoid undue levels of stress, which is driven by fatigue. All right, so this is the first step towards managing your stress levels. So it's essential that you master this answering and time management technique, because by mastering these two elements, you are also trying to make sure that you are managing your stress levels or avoiding unnecessary stress levels which are driven by fatigue. So that's why, just because you know this technique, you are not in a position to be successful at your exam. That's why it's essential that you practice these techniques each time you attempt a mock exam under exam conditions. Even after doing this, especially towards sections 3 and 4, you will encounter some type of stressors. Especially in section 4, you are definitely going to face some type of a stressful situation. And as I mentioned earlier, this is driven by fatigue, because it's tough to sit in one place across 3 hours, operate in a time pressured environment, and face an examination which is tough as the MCS exam. Because you are not supposed to simply come up with answers. You are supposed to practice answering, time management, and stress management techniques during your exam. And you are supposed to plan your answer. When planning, you have to think in terms of the conceptual elements. You have to apply your knowledge considering what's highlighted within each unseen. So it's a tough situation. On top of all these issues, you have to attempt the entire exam across 3 hours, which is going to be extremely cumbersome. So that's why, even after practicing the answering technique, you might encounter stressful situations. So whenever you encounter stress, you need to know what is happening within your brain. If not, you will try to pressurize your brain too much. When this is the case, you will experience brain freeze. So if you have attempted a CIMA examination previously, you know what I'm talking about. When you experience brain freeze, you are trying to think, nothing comes into your head, and most students become extremely emotional. Some might start crying, or some might feel extremely warm or extremely cold, or you'd become extremely angry. So you become emotional, or you'd be experiencing emotional responses when you are experiencing brain freeze. So let's try to figure out how you should control your brain, take control of your brain, without which you cannot manage your stress levels, especially when operating in a time pressured environment. So what happens is, when you are pressurizing your prefrontal cortex too much, let's assume I said that the attention span is 40 to 45 minutes, and when your brain is asking you to take a break, instead of doing so, you are further pressurizing your prefrontal cortex. And when this is the case, there's a tendency for the prefrontal cortex to switch off and shift brain functions to a small part of your brain, which is known as the amygdala. And when the amygdala is in play, this is when you'd become emotional. This is when you'd experience brain freeze, because the amygdala gives out a fight or flight response. A flight response is a situation where the brain is asking you to move away from a stressful situation. You can do it at office. If you're feeling stressed, you can move out of a stressful situation. But at the exam, you are not supposed to do it, because if you walk away from your seat, then you are going to fail this exam. So you cannot give up. Therefore, when the amygdala is in play, when you are experiencing a flight response, you cannot respond to it. You have no other option but to fight the stressful situation. So when you try to fight the stressful situation, it's essential that you know how to switch off your amygdala. If not, you are going to experience further levels of stress, because when you're trying to fight a stressful situation blindly without taking steps to switch off your amygdala, you are going to panic further, especially when operating in a time pressure environment, in a stressful environment. So you have to take these steps to switch off your amygdala whenever you experience extreme levels of stress or brain freeze. And how can you achieve it? Only by focusing on your breathing. So whenever you feel stressed, close your eyes for 2 minutes and focus on your breathing. Inhale through your nose, exhale from your mouth. When inhaling, count to 3 slowly, and when exhaling, count to 3 slowly. This is the only way to switch off your amygdala. And when your amygdala is switched off, your brain functions will shift back to the prefrontal cortex. And when the prefrontal cortex is working, you can keep fighting or moving forward without any hiccups. So you can actually practice this in your daily lives as well. So whenever you feel stressed, close your eyes for 2 minutes and focus on your breathing. Inhale through your nose, exhale from your mouth. When inhaling, count to 3 slowly, and when exhaling, count to 3 slowly. And by doing so, you are recalibrating your brain, or you are taking steps to refresh your brain. And most students who end up scoring more than 90 marks, practice this. At the beginning of each section, they close their eyes and focus on their breathing for 2 minutes before they read through the scenario. So let's assume you are done with section number 1 and you are in section number 2. Before reading through the information or the scenario, you are supposed to focus on your breathing with the prime intention of refreshing your brain, with the prime intention of recalibrating your brain to ensure that you are fit to utilize your prefrontal cortex. So by the time you're done with section number 1, you have already spent 45 minutes of your time. So in the last 5 minutes, you might not be utilizing the prefrontal cortex fully, but when you focus on your breathing, you are making sure that you are shifting your brain functions primarily to your prefrontal cortex. If so, at the beginning of each section, when you read through the scenario, you will see things clearly. And at the same time, when you have taken steps to refresh your brain, then it is going to impact the quality of the answers as well. All right, so you can practice this at the beginning of each section. You might think that I'm asking you to waste 2 minutes of your time. Actually speaking, when you take steps to refresh your brain at the beginning of each section, it is as if you are gaining some additional time. Because without doing this, if you keep moving forward towards the third or at the beginning of the third section, if you don't take steps to refresh your brain or let your prefrontal cortex relax, definitely you are going to experience stress, which is driven by fatigue. That is why most students get extremely low marks, especially towards sections 3 and 4. All right, so you are supposed to practice these things when attempting mocks under exam conditions. As I mentioned earlier, just because you know these things, without practice, you are not in a position to implement them successfully on the day of the exam. And it helps to drink some water whenever you are stressed. It helps to drink some water as well. However, if you are attempting the exam at home, you cannot have a water bottle with you. And in certain exam centers, certain invigilators won't allow you to have a water bottle. So, drinking water is not a real option at your disposal. So the best way to get out of a stressful situation is to focus on your breathing with the prime intention of switching off your amygdala. So, in a nutshell, to manage your stress levels, stick to our answering technique. If so, you are letting your prefrontal cortex rest towards the last 20 minutes of each section. And at the beginning of each section, focus on your breathing to refresh your brain. Then you will see things clearly. And at the same time, whenever you feel stressed, get out of the stressful situation rather than blindly fighting it, rather than forcing your brain to keep moving forward when it wants you to take a break. Let it rest for a while by focusing on your breathing. By doing so, you are taking steps to switch off your amygdala and recalibrate your brain to ensure that you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex. And if you are thinking through your prefrontal cortex, you are thinking rationally, therefore, you will come up with the best type of answers. All right, I hope you will um, practice these techniques on top of what you have learned in the previous webinar. I hope you will practice these techniques whenever you are attempting your mock exams as per our study plan. And you might be attempting the exam at home. If so, please, I will share this link via the WhatsApp group. Please visit it and figure out how the Pearson VUE system works. And if you're yet to book your exam, if you're thinking of whether you should attempt the exam at home or at an examination center, if you are encountering frequent power cuts and internet outages, it's best to attempt the exam at an examination center, because even if you face some type of technical difficulty, there will be invigilators to help you. And even if you face a major technical difficulty, don't worry, you can attempt the exam in the next week when the SCS exams are happening. You won't get the same variant. However, you will get a new variant, but you need not worry about having to reattempt your MCS exam in May 2026 if you encounter technical problems, because you have the opportunity of reattempting the MCS exam a week later when the SCS exams are happening. All right, so I'm happy to say that we achieved a 90% pass rate in the exams which happened in August. So those who sat for the exams in November, your results are not yet out. I think the results will be out in another 2 weeks. And I'm pretty sure we are going to achieve a similar pass rate in November as well. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study process, if you stick to our study plan, because when you are sticking to the study plan, as I mentioned earlier, you are not simply attempting mocks, you are making sure to master each mock exam by conducting revision based on a single mock exam. So when you attempt all 6 mocks and revise based on the same mock exam thrice before walking into the exam, you are definitely going to pass with flying colors. You can easily score 90 plus marks at your real examination. All right, so having said that, I'm moving to the Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop us a message via the chat. Any questions, folks? Did you understand the stress management techniques which are highlighted? Any questions? Are you feeling anxious because the exams are drawing near? You can ask anything. I'm here to help. All right, some more questions have come through. I'm sorry, I forgot to switch on the recording. Moonjerry is asking a question. Will you do an analysis of the November actual exams? Moonjerry, we do not have access to the variants which were used in November. This information will only be released a week after your results are out concerning the February sitting. So, as I mentioned earlier, the CIMA examiner develops 6 different variants, 3 of which are tested in November, and the remaining 3 are tested in February. And the results for the February session will be released somewhere in April. And after the results are released, then only the examiner will share all the questions and answers concerning these 6 variants. So Munjari is asking whether I can actually analyze the actual exams which were conducted in November. I'm sorry, we don't have access to the papers as yet. You'd have to wait until the 3rd week of April, if I'm not mistaken, to gain access to the past exam variants concerning exams which happened in November 2025 and February 2026. I hope I understood your concern, Munjari. Odi is saying, yes, I'm feeling a little anxious, but believe with TCS's help, I will manage. Yes, definitely, because it's quite normal, Odi, to feel anxious. I can remember I myself as a student used to feel really anxious with these exams. Out of all the qualifications I've followed, this is the toughest one. So it's quite normal for you to feel anxious, but don't worry. If you stick to this three-step process, which I highlighted previously, you are definitely going to pass. Because as I've mentioned continuously throughout this webinar, if you stick to this three-step process, you are not only attempting mock exams, you are taking steps to fine-tune your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. You are taking time to learn your theory and application, and also trying to replicate answer plans on your own. So when you focus on each mock exam in this depth, definitely you are going to score extremely good marks at your exam. So simply it comes down to sticking to the study plan. If you do so, you need not worry about passing this exam. Okay, so although you are feeling anxious right now, you will see your mood improve by the time you are in mock number 4, because you will feel that your time management and answering technique has improved, and at the same time the quality of your answers, you'd see a significant improvement by the time you are in mock number 4. I hope I addressed your concern, Odi. And Munjeri is asking another question. You mentioned the examiner has 6 variants of the exam. So is this the 6 variants per seating, or 6 variants spread across November and February? So as I mentioned earlier, Munjeri, out of the 6 variants, 3 are tested in November and the remaining 3 are tested in February. I hope I addressed your concern. And since I forgot to record this thing, I'm going to reiterate. So if you want to gain access to our free resources, click on this button and create a free user account. Then you'd gain access to our student dashboard. Via our student dashboard, click on My Courses, and in front of MCS Free, you'd see an Access Content button. Click on it, and via the Videos tab, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the previous webinars and workshops which we have conducted. Especially, it's essential that you watch the previous webinar in which I taught you the answering and time management technique. Under the study material tab, you'd gain access to the answer plan of mock exam 1 and the pre-seen mind map. And under the mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and suggested answers of mock exam 1. And via the exams tab, you have the opportunity of attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions via TCS's exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system. So create a free use account to benefit from these free resources. Anything else, folks? Any other questions? Anything else? All right, folks, thank you very much for all those questions. I hope I addressed everything. And if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours. And if you want to directly email us, you can do so via info@study@tcs.com. Or if you need instantaneous support, simply drop us a message via this WhatsApp number. And I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops are uploaded to our YouTube handle. And also via TikTok, you'd gain access to a set of videos, 6 videos to be precise, which is a good pre-seen mind map. So on your way to office, for instance, on a daily basis, keep watching these TikToks. And we have also shared this document with you already, which can be downloaded via the free and paid content via our student dashboard. So this is a good mind map of the entire pre-scene. So on a daily basis, go through this document as well to constantly keep yourself reminded of the most important points highlighted within your pre-scene. And also, I urge you to read the blog post if you're yet to do so. We have developed a blog post based on your company, which can be accessed via our blog page. So I hope you'd read this blog post to gain an understanding of the internals and externals of your company in a nutshell. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the 4th webinar. I hope you gained something out of it. And if you're yet to learn answering and time management technique, please go watch the recorded version of the 3rd webinar. And I hope to see you guys next week, in which I'm going to take you through your F2 syllabus and then conduct a masterclass focused on one of the elements covered within mock exam 1. And I hope you will start your preparations without wasting time. You have full 6 weeks at your disposal. If you start right now and if you stick to our 3-step study process, you are definitely going to pass this exam without any hiccups. So I wish you all the very best and hope to see you guys next week at the first workshop. So thank you for joining. I'll see you guys next week.